So this is how I like to have this conversation, because there are guys who can win it. And then there are guys who you're like, oh, you say, oh, he maybe there's a world where he could win it. When in reality, what you're saying is like, I think he could finish second, or like I feel like he could be the third guy in a 3-guy race, but not really ever. Like, again, our voters, when push comes to shove and that ballot is in front of their face, are they going to pick a guy to win the award that is on the same team as LeBron James? The last time we had something like that was, let me think here. Off the top of your head, when's the last time we had something like that?
So clarify again. The last
basically
time
someone winning that was on the same team as someone else who you could conceivably say was either better than them, or like in a different universe was better than them. I think so. Durant in 13-14, obviously he was on the same team as Russ, but Russ was not looked at in that light, and honestly he probably wasn't even after he won the damn award. I think you have to go back to I think you have to go back to I was going to say Magic's first one, but that was 86-87.
And
Kareem,
that point it becomes Magic's team.
Yeah, it was Magic's team already. Moses won 2 years after Julius Erving won and they were on the same team.
And he was the best player on that team.
Honestly, I don't really think we have a great comp for this.
Yeah,
unless you want to go
through
Kareem.
history, and I can't. Unless you're going Oscar.
Well, no, Oscar was past this. Here's the comp. The comp is if you think LeBron at this point in his career is close to where Kareem was the first year Magic won it. That's the comp. And he's older, but and just to be clear, I think Kareem's last first team All-NBA was not that far removed from when Magic won that award. I'll look it up right now.
Can I give you a better situation?
Give me a better comp? Sure.
Well, not a comp, but a better situation where somebody may not necessarily be the best player, but has an outstanding case to win MVP.
Sure.
So let's say the Bucks.
Dame? You're going Dame?
I'm making a case for it. What if the Bucks?
By the way, sorry to tie up that loose end. The year before Magic won his first MVP, Kareem was first team All-NBA. The immediate prior season, the season Magic won, it did not make All-NBA. Continue. Bucks
win 60 games. In fact, the comp I think we might be looking at is Harden winning it in 2018 because Chris Paul. I just have a version of that season that I believe existed, but many don't believe the same as me. Point being, another Hall of Famer, another All-Star came to that team, and they became a 65-win team. If the Bucks win 60-plus games in a competitive Eastern Conference, and Giannis has to miss like 20-something games, but they don't miss a beat, and Dame has the same offensive impact as last year, it's the super long shot, but is that closer to the...
No.
I think as I'm talking through it, I think the case that you're making is like, it's conceivable that Anthony Davis is the best player on the Lakers for a long stretch because of where LeBron is in his career.
Yes.
And I'm more so looking at the odds that Dame at plus 3,600 is insane value. If he averages 30 a game or wins a scoring title at that size and they are 1 seed, and it's like, this is the Dame MVP year.
To me, Dame's presence ultimately probably hurts Giannis. Giannis's chances to win.
Okay. Interesting.
That's where I'm going with this. For me, I'm not saying that Tatum should have better odds than Giannis or maybe even Doncic. But if I was betting this award, I would be looking long and hard at Tatum because I do think the Celtics are going to finish with the best record in the league. For as much talent as they have, he is clearly their best player. But like much like Giannis, much like AD, much like maybe even Booker, if the Suns stay healthy and do well enough, I could see Tatum making a real run at second. To me, this is Jokic's award to lose this year.
Well, that's the worst kept secret on this pod right now, is that we're both picking Jokic to win his third MVP.
Again, the buyer's remorse from last year. He's just a year removed from winning it. Again, historically, guys don't tend to go long stretches of time between wins. I know. So like Giannis, it's been 3 years. There have been 3 different winners, or three MVPs handed out since Giannis last won his MVP. That may not sound like a lot. If you go back through NBA history, it kind of is. Like there aren't a lot of guys where like they won, especially like won multiple ones, and then there were 3 years that went by or more, and then they won another one.
It's like just Michael Jordan, right?
So Jordan was,
and he had to go play baseball for 2 years for.
Yeah, I don't even count that.
Yeah,
I don't even count. I thought you were talking about 87, 88 to 1991, but even that was 2 years. It's there's just not a lot of examples of again guys that a lot of time went by and then they won another one. I guess Kareem Kareem was 2 years. Yeah, it's Will Chamberlain is the one. Will Chamberlain won as a rookie. Then 5 years went by, and then he won another one. So you have to go back. You have to go back 50 years, plus 50 plus years.
Yeah.
He's the best player in the game. Everybody seems to acknowledge he's the best player in the game.
The game bores him.
Whatever. Like they're going to be great. There's no question. Like how important he is to them. This feels like they're, voters will kind of be like, we're making up for one that we missed, and we're letting you into the club. Because a lot of guys are 2 MVPs. 3 is a different animal.
You think there's that much buyer's remorse for his MVP, him not winning last year?
Oh, I think so.
Do you have it? Because you picked Embiid.
A little bit. I succumbed to the narrative a little bit last year. I'll admit that.
Okay. I still agree with the narrative. I think Embiid was the most valuable player of the regular season last year. We talked about it last week in our predictions and our over-unders.
I don't think it's one...
arguably 2.5 months off.
I don't think it was egregious that he won at all. I think he was a defensible winner. I do think people will look back and be like, oh, that was a little silly.
I don't think it's Derrick Rose, though. I don't think it's the Westbrook.
No.
That's what I'm trying to push back on. It's not as this like, oh my gosh, how did we not do this? No, like, I actually think it was really close, and one team had a better record and played the entire 6-month season.
But at the same time, MVPs historically, you look at the MVP most of the time, not all of the time. Most of the time, you're like, that guy is in the conversation for the best player in the sport. And yet we see a lot of these lists coming out right now, which I don't pay attention to, other than when I see the tweet go by on my thing and I kind of get a glimpse of like, okay, these are the general ranking of the top 10. You could very easily make a list of the top 5 players in the NBA and not have Joel Embiid on it. From that perspective, I do think it's a little bit, it is, not comparable maybe to Rose, but like Rose won that award. And if it asked people after that season, give you the top 5 players in the NBA, maybe Derrick Rose wasn't on it. So
even to MVP odds, they have him in the top 5. In my personal record book, shout outs to Gotts, like he'd probably be 4, maybe 3. That's not crazy to say Joel Embiid is in that conversation. Jokic just won the title with a legendary playoff run, which for me matters and creates the difference. But this is a regular season award. We talked about this. They were like a 500 team for 40 games. I'm not backing down on the fact that regular season award, Embiid went for it and he earned it.
Yeah.
I'm just pushing back on this isn't a case where we owe him one. I thought
no, I'm not.
There were 3 really good candidates last year. Now I think he's going to win it this year because how good I think the Nuggets are going to be, and then we'll put him in a different conversation. Especially since I think he might win the title this year too.
if I was going to bet this, I think I would bet Jokic, or I would just not bet it.